So having said that, let me record this webinar and we will get started. All right, so this is Ed Crow. Today we're talking about selling Medicare from home. Usually I keep my webinars about 15 minutes. This one will take 25 minutes to half an hour at the most, just because I have to go over some sites for you and demonstrate them so you can see how to use them. I took this information from agencies I work with that do sell from home well, and also from my own experience because I sold from my office a lot without seeing people, and this is a strategy I used as well. So I am speaking from experience when I talk about this, but I definitely stole some or borrowed or took, however you want to put it, some ideas from other agencies that I saw that were doing it a little better than I in certain areas, or maybe a lot better sometimes. I should be honest about that. So we're going to talk about prospecting and other uses for online enrollment. I'll show you the demonstration of the quote site. You all have access to that. If you have even one contract with us, you can use it. I'll show you online enrollment through Connect for Medicare. Talk about power dialers, some people call them predictive dialers, and how they can make you much more efficient. Briefly mention our free Medicare lead program because obviously that dovetails in with this pretty well, and then just summarize the whole thing at the end. And again, if you have questions, just send them into the webinar and I will answer them at the end. And I'm a little slower because I'm doing this from a different computer, so it's taking me a little bit to get my bearings. All right, so when you selling from home works with all types of leads, but it definitely works better with certain leads. I'm not sure exactly why, but I guess to a certain extent it makes sense. Certain types of leads are more really a lead that you got to try to get a face-to-face appointment. And some of those leads, well, they'll certainly work when you're selling non-face-to-face. They won't work quite as well in my experience anyway. One of the types of leads that does work really well for selling from home or not face-to-face is online leads. Online leads work really well for selling from home. So a little bit about online leads. For those not familiar with them, the way they work is more or less prospect goes online, they enter their information to try to get a quote for Medicare. The site fools them. It doesn't really give them a quote. It just takes their contact information. And then those companies send that information to you as the agent, sell it to you for a price. And then lo and behold, that's a lead. So sometimes these people will be a little disgruntled that they thought they were getting a quote and they didn't get one. But nonetheless, they work. One of the tricks with online leads is finding a good source, a good vendor to get them from. It's become a lot harder over the years. A lot of people use companies that are called lead aggregators, and they'll send shared leads, leads where when they send that lead out, they're sending it to 4 or 5 or 6 agents at a time. You'll find that most people that work online leads successfully do better with shareds than exclusives. Reason being for that is a shared lead usually costs a lot less, and your closing percentage on a shared isn't usually much lower than an exclusive. Well, I think that doesn't make sense, but the reality is exclusives usually aren't that exclusive. The companies aren't lying to you, but the stat is that most prospects online enter their information in 2.5 sites. So they might be entering it in the one site where you're getting the exclusive lead from, but they also might be entering it in another site that's a shared lead site. So a lot of times that exclusive lead isn't exclusive. And again, they cost a lot more. If you can find an exclusive lead from a company that's a decent price that closes, use it by all means. But I definitely suggest if you haven't used online leads, you try both shared versus exclusive and see what one works better for you. Online leads are great for this strategy because the reason they're going online to get a quote is because they probably, in most cases, don't want to meet with somebody in person. That's why they tend to work really well for online leads. You can call them, provide the information they need, and and close it over the phone using Connect for Medicare or mailing them an app or emailing them an app. There's definitely specific strategies to use for selling an actual online lead. I won't give you it all today, but one thing I will tell you is it is critical with an online lead that you contact that person when the lead comes in within a couple seconds of it coming in. Seconds. It's also critical that you contact them multiple times. And in fact, some of the best online lead sales agencies recommend 3 times the first day. So nonetheless, online leads work well. You got to know how to use them, and you got to experiment a little with the vendor. Power and predictive dialers, you can only use those for Medicare supplements. Those who aren't familiar with the power of predictive dialer, basically it's a web-based program. You load phone numbers into it, DNC scrubbed phone numbers, and it calls them very quickly for you. A power dialer can outperform a person just calling off a list 3 to 1. You'll contact 3 times as many people with a power dialer or predictive dialer. It will track the people, it'll track the calls when you called them, and most of them do operate as a simple CRM. So you've got a CRM, you can track the connects, you can track the people, schedule follow-ups. Power dialers and predictive dialers are really powerful. They do cost money. We have a pretty good deal with one I'll show you, and they will greatly increase your call time. You can only remember cold call for Med Sups. You cannot cold call for Medicare Advantage plans, so just be careful with that. Most clients or consumers or prospects won't know the difference between a supplement and an advantage. So if you call them for a supplement, which compliantly you have to do, you can't call them and just say, hey, I'm calling you for a supplement, but let's talk about Medicare Advantage. You got to talk to them, let them bring up the topic of Advantage. And when they do, then you handle that conversion. You say to them, well, you're referring to, when you talk about dental or vision or zero premium, that's called a Medicare Advantage plan. I'm going to email you a scope. You do it from Connect for Medicare, or you can do it from the carriers too if you want. I'm going to email you a scope, and that scope, when you sign that, we'll talk about Advantage plans. So then you have preset leads and mailers. Preset leads and mailers, I've found, they work for closing business when you're meeting people face-to-face. They're not quite as good for online closes, for non-face-to-face closes, because that preset lead or that mailer, usually the best way to get a hold of them is to talk to them and set a meeting quickly. You can close them over the phone. I know people who do it. It just is a little more difficult, and the pivot is a little more difficult when you're trying to do that. But they will work. They will work. Online sales or non-face-to-face sales is a great way with existing clients. If you have a really big book of business, and one of the plans has a bad renewal for January, one of the nice things is you can talk to that existing client on the phone, and you can change them right through Connect for Medicare or email, and you don't have to drive out. You save yourself a ton of time driving. We have agencies and brokers. I myself have about 1,600 clients. If you got 400 or 500 of them on a plan that you need to move them off of, doing it online is way more efficient than driving out and seeing them. So what we're going to do then next is talk about the quote site, because if you're going to do an online or home sales strategy where you're selling from home, you certainly need a quote site to do that. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to be able to see what plans are available in a given state. A lot of times I'll have people call me and say, hey, what looks good in Virginia? Honestly, I don't remember usually. I have to go on and quote it. And I quote it on the Pinnacle quote site, which you all have access to at no cost, even if you only have one contract with us. So the quote site lets you see plans, Advantage, supplements, and Part D plans in any state. It'll quote all other lines of business as well. But for our purposes today, it'll quote all the plans too. So even plans that you're not appointed with, it'll show you. So it's also a nice way to say, wow, maybe I should add, Allwell this year, or WellCare, or whoever it may be. They look like they're pretty competitive in this area. The site to do that's pfsinsurance.com. Call to get your username and password. If you have one contract with us, you already have one. You just need to get it. And you call 800-772-6881 to get your username and password to quote on the quote site. You can quote Advantage, Part D, Med Sups. Also, even if you don't have any of these other contracts with us, you can quote final expense, term, ULs, annuity, LTC, hospital indemnity. If you haven't used the annuity quote site, it is super easy to use. It'll quote you MIGAs, income riders, fixed indexed annuities, all from one spot, super easy and quick, and saves you just a ton of time. All right, so what I'm going to do now is give you an example of the quote site. Hopefully this will work. Bear with me here. All right, so all you do is you go to www.pfsinsurance.com. So again, www.pfsinsurance.com, and you simply go to quoting. And there you can see you can quote the various products. For today, we're going to do Medicare. Looks like the internet's working too, which is always helpful from home. Click Medicare Quoting Tools. And then you can choose between Medicare Supplement, Advantage, or PDP. We'll do Advantage for now, but you could do either one. But we'll run the Advantage quote, put in a zip code. I'll just use one here. All right, so we've got the zip code. It defaults to the county. You can choose Advantage, Part D, or Special Needs plans. We'll just do Advantage. I'm not going to filter anything, and I'm quoting for 2020. Click Get Quotes. And there you go. It will quote the plans for you in the area. As you can see, it'll give you a brief view here. If you want to see more specifics on this, you can quote up to 5 plans at once. So we could go, if you want to put a plan into your quote comparison, click the little check mark here. So we'll just pick a couple randomly. It doesn't really matter. That one. I just picked a few random ones. But what I do is I click the check mark, the compare button. And as you can see, it puts it over here on the left. Then I click Compare Quotes. This will give me a brief view of the plans, all the benefits, so I can compare them easily without needing to remember them. If I want to see all the benefits, including OTC, dental, inpatient hospital, all those things, I then click Show Additional Details. And then it will give you the full-fledged summary, including dental, vision, OTC. Those things that you might not remember will then be on there. Now, if you want to make a PDF of this, you just simply click the PDF button. You can then save it and send it out to your clients or prospects. You can compare up to 5 plans on this. So if you want to compare different plans, all you would do is click the back button. Go over to your compare. Maybe we'll get rid of one. We'll exit out. We'll pick a couple new ones. Maybe we'll go with United's Walgreens plan and Anthem, let's say. So we got 4. We'll just click compare again. And there it is again. Again, if you want to see more details, you just click the Show Additional Details button. And there you go. You'll have all the details. And again, remember, you can save this as a PDF right here. That way you can send it out to clients or prospects. And it also makes you aware of what's out there. I get calls all the time. Hey, you know, in Florida, does this plan have an OTC benefit? I honestly don't know, so I just run it quick. And then I pretend like I knew, which I didn't, but I pretend like I did. It gives you some good credit with people. They think, wow, Ed's amazing. He can remember what's, you know, dental plans on a random Medicare Advantage plan in Florida. And the reality is I can't. I just quote it and look it up. Okay, so that's the quote site. Now, if you want to quote supplement, you simply go up here. If you want to quote supplement, you just click Medicare Supplement. I won't do the demonstration for you, but it works the same way. Quote supplements, you can quote all the different plans and make comparisons as well on the supplement quote. Okay, that's an example of the quote site. And again, you all have access to it. So, you know, feel free to use it. It's something that you really should use. So when you're not selling face-to-face, and you need to be able to quote the plans. And once you've quoted the plans, then it's obviously online enrollment becomes huge. Let me just say, you can enroll people online, but if people have a printer at home and you find it easier, just have PDFs of the applications and you can email them to them. I used to do that before online enrollment came about. I used to email PDFs all the time of applications and benefit summaries to people. They'd print them, sign them, and they'd scan them or fax them back to me. You might say, well, what if somebody didn't have a scanner or a fax or a printer? I actually had some kits that I would mail to them, made it super dummy simple, where they had to sign and everything. I give them a pre-stamped envelope to send it back, but I made sure they were committed to enrolling and to signing up before I did that. I didn't just haphazardly send kits out to people. I got their commitment that yes, this is something they want to do. Regardless, we'll talk about the online enrollment now with Connect for Medicare. Connect for Medicare allows you to quote, compare, and enroll online. It has an electronic scope that you can send. It will run drug comparisons. So just like on the CMS site, Connect for Medicare will allow you to enter the drugs, the pharmacy, run comparisons, and it will save those drug lists for you, unlike the Medicare site now. It'll save those drug lists for you. So next year you can just edit the drugs, add a new drug, remove one, and just rerun that person every year. You can enroll them then online without a signature or a face-to-face meeting. And like I said, it does operate as a basic CRM. It'll save your client data and their drug lists. This will work for Medicare Advantage, just about all Advantage plans, a number of Medicare supplements, and pretty much all PDPs. There are some supplement companies this will not work with yet, but it will work with a number of them. On Connect for Medicare, you can check doctors, formularies, and pharmacies, and you can do it all from one area, which is really nice. So you don't have to jump from website to website. Really useful site to use. Now what I'm going to do is going to give you an example of Connect for Medicare. It's www.connect4medicare.com. Again, if you have contracts with us, you have access to the site. It doesn't cost you anything. You just got to call Pinnacle or our office or email us and get your username and password. Unlike the Pinnacle quote site, which I just showed you, which will quote all plans, Connect for Medicare, because it's an enrollment engine, it's an enrollment site, it only will have the companies you're appointed and certified with us to sell. That's because they can't put companies on there that you're not appointed with. If you're not appointed and certified to sell, they can't allow you to enroll people through that site electronically. So only appointed and certified companies will show up there. So let me give you an example of, and this will be a brief example, give you a brief example of how this works. Okay, so all you will do is go to www.connect4medicare.com. All right, use the 2020 site. So I click here. There is a register button. You don't need to do that. We get a lot of people that register. If you have a contract with us or contracts, you're already set up to use this. Just call Pinnacle or call our office and get your username and password. You don't need to register again. So click the 2020 site. Hopefully this will work at home. My internet is not near as good here, but we'll just assume it's going to be smooth. So you log in. Here's your Connect for Medicare site. You can do a couple things. I'll show you a brief function you can do with this. If you want, you can start a consultation that will enter your clients all their information. You'll start a consultation, enter all their information, and then from there you'll quote, compare, and you can send them plans. If you just want to do something quick, you do send quick quote. Also, the start a consultation is how you send an electronic scope as well. I will show you an example of that. But if you click the send quick quote button, it's going to simply ask you for a zip code. Click submit. Here you go. So you can choose Medicare Advantage plans, standalone PDPs, MA only plans, or Medicare supplements. Just click on the tab for the plan you want. We'll do PDPs for now, but it works for anything. But we'll click on PDP. And what this is going to do is it's going to show you a list of PDPs. It's going to show you the monthly premium and then total cost. I haven't entered any drugs yet. So what this is going to do is it's just going to take the monthly premium times 12 for the total cost. Once I add drugs, that number will change. It's a quick and easy way to see which plan has the lowest overall cost, premium, deductibles, and copays for your client for the year. If I already know what they want, I just simply click send quote. If I click send quote, I'm going to put in their name, their phone, and their email address. I check off what I want to send them, and it's going to send them a quote with an electronic link to enroll. If I happen to be sitting face-to-face with a client, I'd click the enroll button, and then I would enroll them. So I would enter the information with them. We'd complete the enrollment right there. But if you're not face-to-face, you're going to say send quote. It's going to send them a link to enroll in that one specific plan, and that is all they can enroll in. Now, what you can do if you want, you could pick up to 3 plans if you want, compare the plans. Then what you can do is you've got a comparison of all 3 plans. You can send a multi-plan quote, so it'll send them all 3 plans and they can enroll in whatever one they want, or you can send a specific plan quote. Again, if they're with you, you click the enroll button, fill everything out right there, and submit it right there for them. Right now, Connect for Medicare, when you send them a quote, they've got to enter some information. As of 2021, so for the 2021 AEP, what it's going to do is allow you to click the enroll button, enter everything for them, literally everything, and then it's going to email and text them a link, and they just click that link to confirm the enrollment. They won't have to enter anything. But as it stands today, you either use the enroll button and enroll them with you there, or you send a quote. It will only allow them to enroll in the plans that you send them the quote for, but they do have to enter some information to complete that enrollment. You may want to stay on the phone with them to walk them through it in that case. Let's go to our previous screen here. What I'm going to show you how to do here is if you want to enter their information, you do it right here down at the bottom. So 0 drugs, I'm going to click change. I'm going to just put in a couple quick, easy ones. I'll do a atorvastatin, just like the CMS site if you've used that before. It's really the same thing. Add drug, and then I'm going to go, let's put in, we'll put in allopurinol. If you put in a name brand drug and there's a generic, it's going to ask you, do you want to use the name brand or the generic? And that way you can choose the name brand or the generic. But for our purposes, we'll just go with allopurinol. We'll add the drug. And yes, that is a bird in the background for those who can hear the chirping. I thought maybe he'd be quiet, but I guess he decided. Since I'm doing a webinar, he'd chime in a little bit. All right, so I added a couple drugs. I can remove them. I can change them. I'm going to say my drug list is complete. I'm going to enter the pharmacy I want. And this will work just the same way with Advantage too, by the way. Enter my pharmacy. I'll go with CVS. That's complete. Continue. And what it's going to do now is it's going to show me all these drug plans, show me the premium plus the total cost for the copays and everything. If you want to see detail on that, for example, like we'll look at, I don't know, let's look at Humana's. I click view detail. I can see estimate by month, and you'll see the site's very slick. It'll show you what tier the drug is in, retail cost before the gap, and it'll show you their monthly cost for that medication. If you want to see what the mail order cost is, just click the mail order tab. Okay. If you want to change the drugs, just scroll to the bottom, change the drugs or the pharmacy. Super easy to use, super easy to do online enrollments with, and you can do it with Advantage or Part D plans. Oh, I was going to show you, if you want to send them a scope, instead of doing a quick quote, you do the consultation button. You'd enter their basic info. I'll just do mine. I got to make up a date of birth to 26, I don't know, 1950. Oops. Just want to show you how you send the scope. I'd hit continue. And there's my electronic scope right there. So I just click email scope. It's going to email them a scope. They click on the link and they've completed the scope then. And then you hit continue and continue on, and you can run and compare the plans and then send them the link to enroll. It will keep the scope on file for you as well. So you'll have it. Okay, so that was a quick, very quick example of Connect for Medicare. If you want to see more detail on that, I have webinars that are talking specifically about Connect for Medicare only that we could go through. All right, I was talking about the power dialer, predictive dialer before. You only use it with the supplements. We do have a discounted dialer. If you want, just Google search discount sales dialers Crow. That's all you got to do. It'll take you to our site. And we have a discounted dialer with Prospect Boss. You can get a 4-line dialer for $79 a month. I was never good enough to handle 4 lines. It was too much for me. I went with a single or double line dialer. You can do that. And you can shop around wherever you want for the dialer, but we do have a pretty good price on one. If you need lists, call lists, we can provide them to you at no cost. You just got to let us know what state you're looking for and what ages. Maybe you want people turning 65 the next 12 months, whatever it may be, just let us know. We can provide you those lists. Again, predictive dialers are for Medicare sub-calling only. Once you got them on the phone, they want to talk about Medicare Advantage plans, just email them a scope. There we go. Sometimes people say, well, how do I get enough people to call? Well, we can send you lists. Maybe you've got lists of existing clients and other lines of business. Maybe you buy some aged leads from the aged lead store. Maybe you've got old mailers you want to put in a PDF or a Excel file rather and put in. You can load up your dialer with numbers any way you want. That is the link to our dialer. It's too long to copy, and again, just Google Prospect Boss Crow or or Dialers Crow. It'll come up right away, or just email me and I can give you the link and send it to you. I'll send out a recording of this webinar so you'll have it anyway. Just wanted to mention for everybody, those who have their Medicare contracts with us do have access to our free Medicare lead program. No minimums to start, no reduction in commission. You're still paid direct by the carrier. There's no catch to it. The only thing you have to have is your Medicare carriers with us. Now, if you don't have your other lines of business with us, that's fine. I mean, be happy to have you have them with us. But if you don't, you can still use the free lead program. You just got to have all your active Medicare carriers with us. We'll pay 100% of your lead cost, up to $500 a month. That's for the first 6 months. After that, it's a 50% reimbursement, but still up to $500 paid to you every month. So if you're spending $1,000, you get $500. You can use any company you want. You can use leads, online leads, mailers. You can do marketing, advertising. As long as it's for Medicare, you can do it and you can submit it to us for the reimbursement through the lead program. So people will say, well, what leads do we have to use? It's completely up to you. It's just got to be for Medicare, and you got to send us a paid receipt every month. Okay, so in summary, working from home is proven to work. It works for a lot of people. I have agents who have been selling from home or from their office without doing personal visits for 6, 7 years now. 12 of our top 20 producers are that kind of producer. They sell non-face-to-face, and that's how they've always sold. Most of them do use online leads or a predictive dialer. A lot of them use shared leads, even though they hate them. The price point just seems to work out better for them. If you can find some good exclusives, certainly use them. To do this effectively, I get a lot of people who say, I'm going to start doing this in 20 states. I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to expand to 20 states, that's great. We're licensed in all 50. But really, you need to fully understand the benefits in the state you're selling in. You got to understand what's competitive, what isn't, ancillary benefits. You really got to know your stuff to sell well over the phone. If there's hesitation, the people will sense it. If they say, I want a Medicare supplement, what's the cheapest plan N? You need to know. If they say, I'm looking for an Advantage plan that has over-the-counter benefit, or best Advantage plan, you've got to have a really good sense of what's out there and what the benefits are. So my long-winded point is, I would stick to one state first, get good at it, and then move to more if you want. That is just a suggestion. Plus the fact that the carriers, some of them now, like United, charge you non-resident licensing fees in every other state you're in. So that makes a difference too. When you're calling these people, keep it very informal and to the point on your script. You don't want to sound all business-like. It doesn't work well. The more informal you are, the better. And you want to keep it short and to the point. They went online, for example, if you're using an online lead, they went online looking for an online lead. So what you want to do is you want to talk to them briefly, get an idea of what they're looking for, and answer their questions and get that link out to them. So don't get all formal on them. Keep it to the point. If they don't have email, so maybe you want to use online enrollment, but they don't have email. Maybe you want to email them apps, but they don't have email. You can have some packages ready to mail out to them. Connect for Medicare, as I said, as of 2021 AEP, you will be able to also text an enrollment link to them as well. So those without email, if they have a smartphone, which a lot of people do now, you can text that link out to them. But like I said, have some packets ready to mail out, put a return envelope in it, and definitely put your agent code and name on it. Don't send out apps. Even if you get their strong commitment to buy, don't send it out without your agent name and code on that app. That's a huge mistake. If they send it straight back to the company and your name and agent number is on it, you're not getting paid for it. Remember, you don't sign those apps. You only sign an app when you take it back into your possession. All you need is your printed name and your agent number. As I said on the applications, if you mail them, pre-fill them out, return to envelope, make it as simple as humanly possible for these people. I can get definitely more specific on these ideas if you'd like. If somebody wants to talk about, well, online leads, we can get drill down on that. If you want to talk about, working mailers, using a power dialer, we can get very specific with all those topics if you like. me see if we have any questions. That's all I have today. I went a little longer than I usually like to go. I mean, I can't even listen to myself for half an hour, so I know it's tough for you guys to do. But I appreciate you joining me today, and let's see if we have any questions. Actually, we don't have any, so we have no questions today. Might wait a second to see if a few come in. But again, keep this simple. You can sell from home. It's easy to do. Sell from your office. You don't need to do face-to-face, especially with COVID now. And you do connect for Medicare online enrollment. You email them apps or you mail them packages. The biggest trick is really what kind of lead source do you want to use? How do you want to get those prospects in the first place? You have access to both tools, the quoting engine and Connect for Medicare at no cost. So really you can do this venture without any cost. One more final check on questions. I don't have anything. So guess there's no questions today. I appreciate you joining me. Like I said, I'll send this recording out to everyone that attended. And I hope everybody has a great day and have a good weekend coming up. Thank you.